Hi everyone. Recently I've been experimenting with some alcohol-based marker pens, and these pens are blendable, so you can put layer on top of semi-transparent layer to build up regions of deeper tone and colour. And this is a sketch of a sheep that I did in around about 10 minutes. This one's on A4 paper, and I'm kind of enjoying this kind of tight time frame experiment. It really forces you to be efficient and selective with the marks you make, and it's a good way of honing your observational skills. So what I'm going to do in today's video is a different version of this sheep on much larger paper using the same marker pens. So I'm going to put this one away. I'm not going to refer to this at all. So let's have a look at the bigger paper and get going on that larger drawing. Today I'm going to use Spectrum Noir alcohol-based markers to do a drawing of a sheep in hopefully around about 10 minutes or so. So I'm starting off with a light grey, and the particular animal that we are creating today is a rather fluffy sheep, lots and lots of wool. And there's one of his ears that I'm just putting in a rough outline of. So this sheep has almost got a full beard, if you like. This particular flock of sheep was found in the grounds of Powderham Castle, which is between Exeter and the coast. So it's kind of a mock castle, really. It's not medieval or anything. I think I'm right in saying that. But quite beautiful grounds, deer roaming free, sheep roaming free, and very beautiful countryside. So a good place to go to get reference or inspiration for landscapes and animal drawings. Okay, so as you can see, we've just fairly quickly blocked in the shapes here, and let's start putting in some mid-shadows now. Now these alcohol-based marker pens are actually blendable, so you can put on layer upon layer of tone or colour to create darker and darker regions. So I'm trying to keep the lines fairly lively to give the drawing some energy, rather than just colouring in particular areas with, very uniform patches of colour or tone. So the way the light is in my reference photo, the sheep is casting quite a long cast shadow across the field that it's in. And these markers come with an angled nib and also a fine line nib as well. I tend to use the larger nib because by angling the pen I can create a whole range of marks of different thicknesses and sizes, and I just find that more expressive, really. Alright, now I'm switching to a light yellow, and let's start to introduce some colour to the wool, and I'm pretty much going to ignore the grey that I've put down if I, in terms of, I'm not worried about going over it. We'll just get some interesting effects with the yellow overlaid on either the pure white paper or the grey that we've already put down. Now as I'm doing this, I'm still paying careful attention to tone and taking care to leave the regions which are brightest on the animal's wool completely white. And because I'm only allowing myself around 10 minutes to do this, the palette I'm going to be using is going to be rather limited. And so having said that, let's switch to a reasonably light pink and put some colour on the inside of the ear. And the nose and lips there. And there are some hints of pink and orange in the wool, so I'm just going to introduce a few areas of pink, just so we've got a nice flow of colour across the entire drawing. And now I'm going to switch to a darker grey. Just realised I need an area of yellow in here for the eye, so I'll just pop that in before I forget. So back to the grey. And I'm going to use this to introduce areas of darker shadow and also little touches of detail here and there to create a sense of texture or bring the lines nearer to their final rendering. So we've got some quite dark shadows in the nostrils. Get some texture in there under the chin and darken a little bit of this shadow, including some texture going down the chest. And there's another region of deep shadow here. And I'm going to pop in some darker areas on the cast shadow as well, but at the same time leave some of the pure white and some of the lighter grey that I put down before. And I'll use this dark colour to put some blades of grass in over the front of the legs. We need a dark shadow area in between the front legs here as well. And that kind of continues, almost blends into the lower part of the chest. And these rear legs need to be much darker, as they're very much in shadow. And the belly as well, that's in quite deep shadow. And let's just pop a little bit of detail in on the eye. And now, with just over a minute left, I'm going to switch to a darker blue. And this is a good contrast colour that I really enjoy using to pick out key lines and just can bring the drawing to life much more than if we just kept everything a dark grey for the darkest colour. So I'm going to selectively enhance different areas of texture and shadow and detail with this blue. But the trick is to not go too crazy. We definitely don't want to give the impression of a blue outline around the entire animal. So now that my 10-minute drawing time is complete, I can go back and compare this rather larger drawing with the original 10-minute drawing I did on the much smaller paper. So here's that drawing again. Let me just bring that a little bit closer to the camera. So you can see that in the original I actually took a slightly different approach. I used a lot more grey, a lot more pink, and I actually shaded the background with some grey here as well. And going back to the larger drawing, we can see that, you know, I've used rather fewer colours basically. Now part of that is because when I'm working on the smaller scale, when you've only got 10 minutes, you've got time to do slightly more. But I find this is a really good exercise to, you know, I didn't look at the original drawing at all when I was doing this larger drawing, but I'm using the same reference photo. So it's a really interesting way to see, you know, what you see from the reference photo and which bits you pick out each time. So I may come back to this one at a later date, and I may block in the background and the grass, perhaps using paint. I'm not quite sure how these markers respond if you get them wet, so I need to find out about that. But anyway, we'll call it a day for this particular video. Let me know in the comments below which version of the drawing do you prefer, this larger one or the smaller version that I did on the A4 paper. Remember to give the video a thumbs up, and thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you next time.